time that pillow talk.
I thought she told us it was called slide under the covers.
That's another.
She fell. She
said I fell. I said I slid under the covers. Don't go there, y'all.
I'm just trying to get my terminology together,
Look,
right?
Leave that find this ain't found. Don't go there.
Okay, I got my terminology.
She got me off.
My bad, I ain't mean to. I'm sorry.
Got me off track. Anyhow.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Kingdom Women Talk, where we encourage, validate, and empower other women to do life. This is episode 3 of our marriage series. And tonight, we're going to be talking about communication. Communication in a marriage is so important. Communication before you even get married is important. But once you have said, I do, communication takes on a different form.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
So I think remaining open in communication is always good in your relationship, in your marriage. When you start concealing things and hiding things, that's when things start to go south.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as you keep the lines of communication open, and also understand, even in that line of communication, who you married years ago is probably a different person.
Oh, that right there, stay right there.
So you have to kind of tailor. You have to tailor, and sometimes you have to go back to ground zero and start all over again, because you've matured in some areas, you've grown and outgrown. Maybe. What'd you say, love?
You got no.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you are more seasoned.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
Seasoned.
more seasoned. So those things play a huge part in, like, even your interest in conversation and how you conversate and communicate with your spouse.
So do you think as we get...
Hey, cut. We done.
But do you think the longer you're married, do you get more tolerable of the communication, or do you get intolerable of the communication?
Lack of, you mean? Like, do you become more tolerable of the lack of communication?
No, of the communication. Like, I don't want to talk about that. It just got on my nerves. You know, do you have more grace? I guess I'm phrasing it that way. Do you think the longer you're married, you have more grace for the communication?
I think it's the longer you're married, you have a general idea of who your spouse is. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like when he starts going off in left field with some nonsense, you know, you're like, okay, he going there today. I'm going shopping. Right. Or I'm going thrifting. Or I'm just going to get out of his way for a little bit. He'd be all right. He need a nap and a snack. So whichever one come first. The snack, then the nap, or the nap, then the snack. I don't know.
So you're able to read it.
Right.
The longer you are, you're able to read where this conversation is going.
Right.
I agree with that. That you do. You can pick up on the cues, the nonverbals, you know, kind of body language a whole lot faster the longer that you have. And people need to understand that even when you're married, the subtleties and the nonverbals speak really loud.
They do.
They speak very loud. And you have to pick up on those things. But you're right, Sheila. You can't get tired of the lack of communication. Mm-hmm. That's why communication is important. So how do we keep that going? Like, what have you found in your marriage to keep it going?
You have to be intentional.
intentional.
You have to be intentional. And in full transparency, like me and my husband had not gone away on a trip, just me and him, for some years, y'all, like years. And recently we did that, and it was really good. It was almost like starting over again.
Oh, that's
you
good.
know, bringing a freshness.
Yeah.
And I would advise, and we're being intentional, and we said we would be intentional going forward about having that time every few months, because you know it's needed.
Yeah, it is.
You
for
definitely
a reset.
need it.
Yeah. I think for me, it's with the communication. I think it's also being intentional to communicate, because when you've been married for years, like I've been married for 28, I think it's 28 years. So it's easy to take things for granted. Like, oh, he understand. Oh, she understand. While they may understand, it's still important to have a conversation, just to be considerate.
Yes.
And to give a platform for them to be able to say, I do understand, and not assume they do, or no, I don't like that. You know, just because I ain't mad about it don't mean I don't like it.
Right.
You know, so it gives that space. So I think being intentional about not just spending time, but also being intentional to communicate, set time apart, not just on the phone 5 minutes on my lunch break, right? It's literally, we need to sit down and have a conversation. Do people do that anymore? Like sit down and just, hey, how's your day?
It's good too, but no, in the hustle and bustle of everything, no, you really don't. You know, and that's why, you know, we committed to being intentional, because we were not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, you begin to take things and people and the things that they do for granted.
Yeah.
You know, and then you also, because you're sowing that seed, you're going to get it back. So you're also going to start being taken for granted, and that does not feel good.
No, that doesn't.
And when being intentional means sacrificing something so that you can be with the someone, be it your husband, your children, whoever.
Yeah.
But you have to yes, we both, and today everybody's working. You know, there's, if you have a young child in the home, there's young children in my daughter's home. But at some point, you know, everybody knows we're all tired. However, at the end of the night, before we climb into bed and just roll over and go to sleep, come on, let's be real. We make time for sex. No matter how tired we are, we make time for it. Well, that's what they call pillow talk.
Is that what they call it?
That's the time that pillow talk.
I thought she told us it was called slide under the covers.
That's another.
She failed.
She said I failed. I said I slid under the covers. Don't go there, y'all.
I'm just trying to get my terminology together, right?
Leave that find the thing found. Don't go there.
Okay, I got my terminology.
She got me off.
My bad, I ain't mean to. I'm sorry.
Got me off track. Anyhow, just make me think about it. Anyhow, HB. You have to make time to have pillow talk. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Babe, how was your day?
That's true.
It was rough. You know.
That's true.
Mine was too.
That's true.
I'm so glad I'm home. Or, you know, this is nice, just laying here, just talking, TV's on, the house is quiet. If you fall asleep, you fall asleep. If you have sex, you have sex. Whatever it is, the intentionality is that we're communicating.
Right.
Because intimacy is about communication too.
Right.
And intimacy is more than just sex.
Yeah, it is.
Intimacy is being together, holding one another, talking about, somebody peed me off today.
Right.
You know, and I walked around with that all day.
Right.
You know, and being able to say, you know, babe, when I snapped at you earlier, I'm sorry, it wasn't you.
That's good,
I just had
too.
a rough day.
Yeah.
You know, that's being intentional, because then you're not going to bed. Doesn't the word say, don't let the sun go down on your anger?
Correct.
So being intentional means talking to your significant other person, be it to apologize, be it to say, I'm just whip today, or be it to say, somebody got on my nerves, or, babe, I'm thinking about taking tomorrow off, or I'm thinking about taking next week off, or what, that's the time sometimes the couples only have.
Yeah, that's true.
To communicate.
That's true.
Well, if that's the only time you have to communicate, then use it in a way that brings togetherness.
Yeah.
You're not going to bed angry. You shower, brushing your teeth. Babe, God presents us with small windows of opportunities.
We just got to see
good.
it.
We just got to open up our eyes and see it for what it is. Because we can't get so caught up in routine that we miss out on opportunities to communicate. We come in from work, we fix dinner, we get the kids ready for bed, we take a shower, and we go to bed.
Right, because Sister Lulabelle don't mind talking to him.
Right.
You're right, though. You're right about that.
She don't mind it.
And you wonder why he always on the phone.
That's that pinky toe. Inching on in.
You got that right. She don't mind it. Sister Lulabelle don't mind saying, how was your day?
I was thinking about you today.
Right. Oh, you know what, babe? I love you. How about that? Period.
Babe, I see you later on. Love you. And I know sometimes we can say love you so much that it seems to have lost its authenticity. Authentic. You know what I'm trying to say.
Authenticity.
That it come out sounding fake.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's something that we can say from time to time, because how many people have left their homes and didn't come back?
Absolutely.
Yes. And on top of that, making sure that when we say it, our actions match it.
Yes.
Because we talk about communication being just verbally, but it's also our nonverbal communications say a lot too. If you're talking to me, and if my husband's talking to me and I'm looking like, then that sends a message. I don't want to hear it. I'm not interested. I don't have time right now. So we have to be mindful of our nonverbal ways that we communicate, as well as our verbal ways. If he's asking you to do something and it's always put him on ice, put him on pause, gonna get back to him. Wait a minute, hold up. This, but he see you hopping and jumping for everybody else. That sends a message.
Yeah.
So we have to be mindful of those things within our marriage as well, because Sister Lulabelle don't mind.
And actions.
Yes.
Hey, don't worry about dinner. I stopped and picked us up some dinner. If you fed the kids and they in bed, that's cool. I just pick up enough something for you and I to just munch on. And because you find, I've seen it with my son-in-law and my daughter, if there's just them two eating, then they're talking.
Yeah.
They're participating. They don't have the distractions.
Right.
The kids or whatever. So sometimes it takes work to be intentional.
Yes, it does.
It takes work to communicate.
Yes.
But if you feel that your marriage is worth the work, then put it in.
Yeah.
Put it in.
Yeah.
Because as she keeps saying, Sister Lulabelle
don't mind putting in the work.
She sure don't.
Don't mind it at all. She waiting to put the work in. She don't mind it at all. And that's true. And I say it, facetiously, but at the same time, it's a real thing. There is somebody who don't mind doing what you seem to struggle to do within your marriage, and looking for the opportunity, the doorway, the window, to slide right on in. And I'm not saying that like we should be concerned about that, but we should have a healthy awareness.
Be it Sister Lulabelle or Johnny JJ, whoever, they could just, because they saying everything you want to hear.
Because the deficit creates the opportunity.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's what's missing. So if a smile is missing when you communicate, as soon as someone is smiling and communicating, that could be an opportunity. So we have to be mindful of that within our marriage and shut the opportunities down, close the doors that could be potentially open. So what are some of the communication don'ts that we've learned within our marriage?
I would say timing.
Oh yeah, time. Oh, that's a good one.
Knowing the right time to go in with the conversation, with your spouse is very, very key.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of gauge the temperament before you go in.
Yeah, you do want to gauge temperature and post check.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I think for me, communication don't. Along with timing, I would say presentation. Right? You have to know how to talk to your significant other.
Yeah.
You got to know certain things that you say could trigger. Certain things you say could make them angry. You got to know. And if you married them, then you should know them. Whether it's a male or female, you got to know their personality, their characteristics. Yeah. So you got to know how they like to be communicated to. Or it's going to go wrong, even if all your other boxes are checked. You got pillow talk. You get the timing is right. And no distractions. But if your delivery is off, it's all out the window.
Yeah, very true.
Unexpected, unrealistic expectations.
Elaborate.
Well, you think he can read your mind.
Oh.
You think that, or she thinks, well, she know I love her.
Oh.
My significant other used to say that, quite frequently.
So do you think that's expectation, Sheila, or is that because we've just been together so long, they should know?
Both. The expectation is that I should know. Okay, maybe I do know, but I want to hear it. And I'd like to hear you say, I love you. Like for Christmas, don't just think that you know what I want. Sometimes ask me. When I was celebrating Christmas, ask me. My birthday, ask me. Valentine's Day, ask me. Like you said, timing, knowing the time. You may go around and about trying to get me to tell you. That's part of the intimacy, where you're like, hey, what you want? Girl, if I could buy you something, what would you want for Valentine's Day? A car? Be realistic, babe. Be realistic. Well, you asked, I'm just telling you, but the realistic expectation of who you married and what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And also, what about the communication in the terms of, I guess a communication don't would be not communicating on the flip side of expectations about expectation on how you want to be treated, expectation on how you want to be communicated with, or what you like, what you don't like. Those are all derailers in your marriage as far as communication. That could flatline your marriage. Because it can make one feel like you don't care. It can make one feel like you're insensitive. It can make one feel like, I'm not important. When, like you said, it could just be as simple as just inquiring, asking. Even if you say it in a joking manner, or if you're just kind of picking around to see what nuggets you drop. But things like that, we have to know what's important to our spouses. Absolutely. What's important. One spouse might not care, but another spouse may care. May not care if you don't surprise them on their birthday, but they buy you the same thing every year. Another one may say, you come in here with this again,
and we're gonna have it.
It's gonna be a problem. So you gotta know your spouse, and you gotta tailor your communication with that person. Okay, so biggest communication lesson that you've learned. Biggest communication lesson that you learned. I'm going to tell you mine. So when I first got married, when something would happen, or if I was feeling a certain kind of way in my feelings, you know, I got married in my 20s. So 20s, you're young, immature, entitled. The list go long and long and long and long and long, right? All those things in your 20s. But I would then be mad about something, and maybe I would go talk to this one, people that I can confide in. Or maybe I go talk to this one, people I can confide in. But not knowing that creates more turbulence in your marriage, right? So because then your husband feels a certain kind of way, and then it makes him feel awkward. You know, so now I had to learn that, because we would talk to this one, that one, and so forth, and this and that, but we would, and then we're good, but we never go back to the person and have that conversation with the person that it matters the most, right? Because now we're good, because I done vented. I done got some off my chest. I done got maybe some good advice, and now I'm good to go. I go home and I still don't have the conversation. So what is your lesson learned in communication in your marriage? What have you learned over the years?
I think for me, it probably just, I think I worked on delivery quite a bit, and learned the art of doing that. So I think that helped a lot. However, my husband didn't know. So, you know, being patient with him while he, you know, tweaked his way of delivery and to a way that I would be able to receive what it was that he had to say, just being patient with him, I think has made all the difference.
That's good. That's really good, because we do need to learn to give the same grace that we want. We need to give it to our significant other. Yeah. That's good.
I think mine was nobody hears you when you're yelling.
Very true.
When you're yelling, nobody hears you. Or when you're nagging.
Can we talk about nagging for a moment?
Nobody wants to be around a nagger.
Nobody wants. And also, why do we think that nagging is going to fix or change anything?
We don't, but we just do it because we want what we want, when we want it, how we want it, when we want it. So if nagging will make you do it, I'ma nag you. You know, but, you know, Mr. Gray used to say, you ain't gonna get on my nerves asking me the same thing over and over and over again. I'm gonna get to it when I get to it.
So he just shut it all the way down.
He shut it down, and now I'm like, you know what? I'll do it myself then.
And he said, okay.
Okay, he did. Okay. Then that would make me mad. Also, you just gonna let me struggle and so
he couldn't win for losing.
At all.
Maybe, and that's also a lesson learned in our marriage. You know, to go right, it's a problem. You go left, it's a problem. We gotta figure out what's reasonable.
Yeah.
Like what is reasonable, you know, and stop being so emotional. We react out of our emotions. I think that's another lesson learned, is being able to navigate your marriage not out of your emotions, because that's when you say what you don't mean. That's when you do things you don't mean. That's when you react in a manner that you don't mean, because it's coming from your emotions, which when that settles down,
you regret
you
what
got
you've done.
right.
You gotta dig yourself out of that hole.
You eating humble pie for 3 weeks.
No,
you
girl,
know?
you eating crow. Crow. Like, I don't really wanna go in here. He was, you know,
right. And then you're looking crazy in the face when you face him. You don't even want to face him.
You'll be like, hey. How you doing? Babe, you know, I fixed you some.
And what they looking like?
Right.
They looking at you like, really? We gonna do this? Okay.
How about avoidance? Right? We know we wrong, but we gonna act like. We gonna glaze, we gonna just slide on past that and just keep it moving. And then we had to get to the point where the mature person in the marriage says, well, what we're not going to do is act like that didn't happen.
Right.
But that doesn't happen because they participate right along with us. She ain't bringing it up, I ain't gonna bring it up because I ain't trying to go back where she was.
Right.
But when you talked about emotions, I think when we do get emotional, we need to have the strength to pull ourselves back and say,
yes,
let pump you. I'm gonna pump my brakes for a minute before I crash. I'm gonna pump my brakes. Because it's about to be a head-on,
right.
and I don't know who's going to be the survivor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pull out, let me back up. We'll come back to this.
Right.
And then make sure you come back to it.
That's good. Yes, yes.
Don't pull away, nobody talks.
Yes.
And then we ain't talked in 2-3 days. We sleeping with our backs to each other. And then one day out of the blue, you talking, I'm talking, and we act like nothing. What just happened 3 days ago?
But doesn't that also lend itself to the fact that when we keep glazing over issues, we look up and there's a snowball effect. One day somebody blow up and you be like, "'Cause I stepped on your toe." When it's
all I said was
right.
That goes back to what I said the last time.
It goes back to all of the glazing over. It finally eventually it's going to catch up, and then when it breaks, then it becomes a big and you're like,
and
wait a minute.
People all out of pocket.
Yeah, now everything is haywire. Can we talk about also, how about being discreet with our family members? Because family, and I talk about this.
Discreet. You just don't run your mouth to your family members. Because when you and your man get it together,
your family,
they gonna hold it against.
They still looking side eye. Yes.
Him.
Can we talk about that?
And then that creates more friction
in the marriage.
And then they're saying, "Girl, I don't know how you even went back to him after what he did to you." And then all it takes is a get together.
Yes.
Where somebody's drinking a little bit too much sauce. And what they say, a drunk mouth speaks a sober heart.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know why you with him, because you just told me last week that you was thinking about divorcing him. You know, or I don't even know why you still with her when you told me Shorty down on the corner been hollering at you. You don't tell your family nothing.
It's a whole brawl.
But you know what? Family, people see family as good confidants, and they can be. However,
you better pick one.
You got to table it, because family, at the end of the day, they're your family, which means they're gonna ride hard for you.
Not everybody in the family.
Most will. They'll jump on that bandwagon. But one thing is for certain: when things settle, it takes a mature family to be able to say, if that's what that person wants, then I support.
Exactly.
Yes.
I support what that person wants. Oftentimes, they're still holding a grudge. They're still mad about it, which then makes your significant other, whether it's your husband or your wife, makes them feel uncomfortable when they come around. You know, and that's whether it's family, friends, or foe.
They stop coming around. And then that creates another dynamic of your wife thinks she's too good to hang out with us.
Right. Right.
You know, your husband think he all that.
Yeah.
You know, because y'all live in this house and such. You know, it's just a domino effect of a lot of negative energy that nobody needs. When all it took was 5 seconds to pull back.
Pull it back,
and then come together and say, you know what, we're not going to go to bed with this.
Right.
We're going to make a concrete effort that we're going to be intentional about whatever we had an argument about, whatever we disagreed about, that we're going to give it 10 minutes. I'm going to voice my side, you're going to voice your side, and then we're going to talk about the truth.
I think that sums it up. That right there was what all of this whole conversation was about, is being able to reason with one another, come together saying, I need to say my piece, you need to say your piece, and then we can move forward.
Right.
So good conversation, great transparency, a lot of lessons learned in our marriages, pre-marriages, future marriages.
Thank you. husband.
Future marriages. And we pray that you glean something from this and that it will help your current marriage or prepare you for marriage. And take what we've done or what we've seen done and use that to propel you into an amazing, happy, fruitful marriage. All right. This is Kingdom Women Talk. We thank you so much for joining us. Again, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Until next time, be blessed. Bye.